Vera stared at the key. It felt heavy in her hand, cold like the winter sea eyes of the man who sent it. She thought of the diner, the smell of grease, the sound of the static on the radio. She thought of Mel's secret in the cellar, and the shadow that was slowly swallowing their home. She looked at her reflection in the small, cracked mirror above her dresser. She didn't see a waitress. She saw the girl in the emerald dress. Vera? It was Alice, calling from the hallway. You ready for work? Mel says he's got a feeling today's going to be a big one. Vera closed the velvet box and tucked it into the back of her drawer. I'm coming, Alice, she said. But as she walked out the door, she knew the song was changing. The road to Fleet wasn't a road to Vegas. It was a road to a choice she wasn't sure she was ready to make. The heat in Phoenix was rising, but for the first time in her life, Vera Louise Gorman felt a cold wind blowing from the east. And she knew, with the certainty of a trivia champion, that the next question wouldn't be about Humphrey Bogart. It would be about her. Chapter 15. The Silver Door. The silver key felt like a cold ember in Vera's pocket as she boarded the bus back to Las Vegas. This time, she wasn't traveling with a loud, bickering family. She was alone, surrounded by the hum of the engine and the vast, indifferent silence of the Mojave. She hadn't told Mel. She hadn't even told Alice. She had left a note on the diner's counter, pinned under a sugar shaker. Personal business in Vegas. Back Monday. Don't burn the hash browns. When she arrived at the Siesta Mirage, the atmosphere was different. The dying neon sign had been replaced by a sleek, backlit board that simply read, The Mirage. No more fly strips, no more moving mints. The hotel had undergone a cleansing, much like Joey Capri's reputation. Dino was waiting for her in the lobby. He was wearing a suit that actually fit him. Miss Gorman, he said, bowing slightly. Mr. Vane is waiting for you in the rooftop garden. The presidential suite is, well, it's being remodeled. He thought a change of scenery would be appropriate. The rooftop garden was an oasis of glass and tropical greenery, suspended high above the glittering madness of the Strip. Julian Vane was standing by the railing, silhouetted against the neon glow of the city. He wasn't wearing a suit today. He wore a black cashmere sweater that made him look softer, yet somehow more dangerous. You came, he said, not turning around. You sent a key, Vera replied, stepping onto the marble terrace. In the movies, when a man sends a key, it usually leads to a mystery or a murder. Which one is this, Julian? He turned, his winter sea eyes reflecting the city lights. Why not both? He gestured to a small table set for two. There was no green baize, no cards, just 2 glasses of vintage champagne and a small, leather-bound book. I looked into your friend Mel, Vane said, pulling out a chair for her. He's a man who has lived 20 years on a foundation of sand. The people he used to work for, they aren't gone, Vera. They've just changed their names. They're the discrepancies my associates found. Vera sat down, the emerald silk of her now professionally cleaned dress catching the light. Mel told me about the cellar. He told me about the safe. Vane smiled. The safe doesn't contain money, Vera. If it did, Capri would have cracked it open years ago. It contains a ledger, a list of every transaction, every shipment, and every person involved in the original syndicate. It's the kind of thing people kill for, not for the wealth, but for the leverage. And why do you want it? Vane leaned in, his face inches from hers. The scent of sandalwood and expensive tobacco surrounded her. I don't want the ledger to destroy them. I want it because it's the only thing that will keep them from destroying you and your little family at the diner. But to get it, I need the combination. I told you, Mel doesn't have it. No, Vane said, sliding the leather-bound book toward her. But I think you do. Vera frowned. Me? I was 5 years old when Mel got that place. It's not a number, Vera. It's a riddle. The man who owned the safe before Mel was a fanatic. He was obsessed with the golden age of cinema. He believed that the world was a movie and we were all just bad actors. He set the combination based on a specific piece of trivia that only a true believer would know. Vera looked at the book. It was a collection of script treatments from the 1930s. You want me to solve the safe? She whispered. I want you to tell me the story of the safe, Vane corrected. And in return, I will ensure that the discrepancies in Mel's paperwork disappear forever. He can keep his diner. You can keep your family. And I get the one thing I lack. What's that? Vane reached out and traced the line of her jaw with his thumb. A story with an ending I can't predict. Chapter 16. Neon Nocturne. Vera spent the night in a suite that made the presidential suite look like a broom closet. The bed was a cloud of Egyptian cotton, and the windows offered a panoramic view of a city that never slept. But she didn't sleep either. She sat on the floor, surrounded by the script treatments and old film journals Vane had provided. Her mind was a kaleidoscope of black and white images. The Big Sleep, Casablanca, Double Indemnity. She kept coming back to one name. Benny. Dino had said Benny had it coming. Mel said Benny was the caretaker before him. Who was Benny? Around 4 a.m., she found a scrap of paper tucked into the back of a 1939 issue of Photoplay. It was a hand-drawn map of the Phoenix Desert, with a single quote written across the bottom. The bird is the word, but the falcon is the prize. The Maltese falcon. Vera's eyes widened. She remembered her first trivia question. Humphrey Bogart, Sam Spade. But it wasn't about Bogart. It was about the bird. She ran out of her room, and through the silent, plush corridors of the hotel, she found Dino polishing the brass on the elevator. Dino. Benny. What was his last name? Dino looked startled. Benny? Everyone just called him Benny the bird. He had a collection of statues. Obsessed with them. Vera didn't answer. She took the stairs 3 at a time back to the roof. Vane was still there, sitting by the fire pit, staring into the flames. Julian, she panted. The combination. It's not numbers. It's characters. The safe has a dial with letters, doesn't it? Vane stood up, his expression unreadable. It does. The answer is Gutmann. Kaspar Gutmann, the fat man from the Maltese Falcon. He spent 17 years looking for the bird. Benny the bird was his namesake. The combination is Gutman. Vane watched her for a long time. The tension between them was electric, a current that threatened to pull them both under. You're a genius, Vera Louise Gorman, he whispered. He walked toward her, and for a moment, Vera thought he was going to kiss her. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, portable radio. He tuned it to a frequency she didn't recognize. Mel, Vane said into a small microphone on the side of the radio. Try Gutman. A moment of static, then Mel's voice, sounding small and terrified, crackled through the speakers. It clicked. Vera let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. I'm here, Mel. Don't touch anything. Just stay there. Vane turned off the radio and stepped closer to Vera. The neon lights of Las Vegas seemed to dim in the presence of his gaze. The ledger is safe, Vane said. And so are you. Is that it then? Vera asked, her voice trembling. The mystery is solved. The movie is over. In the movies, Vane said, taking her hand and pulling her toward him, this is the part where the hero and the heroine realized that the prize wasn't the falcon, it was the chase. He leaned down and kissed her. It wasn't a soft, romantic kiss. It was hungry, desperate, and tasted of champagne and secrets. Vera closed her eyes, letting the desert wind and the neon dreams wash over her. Chapter 17. The morning after the storm. When the sun finally rose, it wasn't the harsh glare of the previous morning. It was a soft, golden light that filtered through the glass walls of the garden. Vera woke up in the suite, but she wasn't alone. Joey Capri was arrested an hour ago, Julian said without looking at her. The ledger. It was more detailed than I imagined. He wasn't just rigging roulette wheels. He was laundering money for a cartel out of Mexico. The Siesta Mirage, or rather, the Mirage, is now under federal oversight. I've been asked to manage the transition. Vera sat up, the silk sheets pooling around her waist. And the diner? Safe. My associates have ensured that the organization no longer has any claim to it. Mel is free. Alice can go back to her singing. Belle. Well, Belle will always be Belle. Vera looked at him. He seemed distant, back behind the mask of the venture capitalist. And what about me, Julian? What's my role in this transition? Julian turned to her. For the first time, his eyes weren't cold. They were full of a strange, haunting sadness.